This is PJ Meitl. I'm an assistant United States attorney, otherwise known as a federal prosecutor here in Dallas in the Northern District of Texas, and I'm also the person assigned to run the Project Safe Neighborhood program for Dallas as well as the entire Northern District of Texas. So about 3 years ago, not quite 3 years ago, the Department of Justice decided the primary way of addressing violent crime across the country was through something that they labeled Project Safe Neighborhood. This was a project that had been around for a while, but had really a new focus or a new energy to it with the new administration and the new leadership at the Department of Justice. And so the whole goal of it is just to figure out a way to reduce violent crime and to really focus on it in specific cities as well as specific parts of specific cities. And that's the primary thing. The project was designed to pick the hottest spots in a city and focus on those and figure out how to bring federal resources as well as state resources to bear so that we could really impact violent crime. The hope was, or at least what the research had showed, was that if you really focus on specific geographic spots, you could make an impact citywide by doing that. So that was what we did. We got together very early on. We looked at all the data for all of Dallas, all of the crime, including all the violent crime, examined it, researched it, and we got together with 30 of the leaders in our area. These are law enforcement leaders, prosecutors, researchers, professors, and we examined it and we picked, based on all that data, an area to focus on, and that area was largely in Northeast Dallas. It's about a 100,000 person area, and we decided to focus there our efforts in reducing violent crime. So we call that the PSN area. Our project has quite a few law enforcement leaders and community members, as well as people not involved in law enforcement. So from the law enforcement side, it's led by my office, the U.S. Attorney's Office. The other law enforcement partners are the FBI, the DEA, the U.S. Marshals, Texas Department of Public Safety, and of course the Dallas Police Department. They're the central partner. We have the District Attorney's Office, they're a central partner too. The City Attorney's Office helps us as well. And then on certain times, we have other federal agencies or state agencies get involved. We might have the DISD police get involved. We might have Plano get involved. It just depends on cases. But those are the primary central players that are there every day, every week. Altogether, it's a group of about 60 law enforcement officers as well as prosecutors. Beyond the law enforcement side, we have people in the community, and that might include things like HOAs, like you all, kids that is public improvement districts. It might include apartments, apartment complexes, apartment associations, it might include churches or other faith-based organizations. It includes the schools, of course. It includes nonprofits. It includes bigger name people like the Dallas Mavericks, things like that. It really depends. We've tried to get as many people involved as possible. We really had great luck and great cooperation from across the community and helping out. Almost everyone that we reach out to has been willing to help us in some way. Without Project Safe Neighborhood, what you have is a variety of agencies like the FBI and Dallas Police Department and the DEA, each doing their own thing. And there might be some coordination when they run into each other or when they're going after a certain bad guy. So the goal is to bring everyone together, devise a strategy, and then execute that strategy. So the primary way we do that on the law enforcement side is we target violent individuals, we try and solve violent crimes, and we try and prosecute those violent criminals to the fullest extent that we can. And that might be we do it on the federal side, or it might be doing it on the state side. It just depends where we think it will be more effective. So that's what's nice about having a consistent team, is that we can all work together, we get to know each other, and it has really, really worked well. So we'll do proactive investigations where we're targeting a gang, for example, taking down a certain gang. We might do reactive cases. So for example, if there's a carjacking on the given corner, we might try to solve that carjacking right away. And then we'll do longer term things, such as we see a problem area within our PSN area, and we want to do something to impact that specific area, whether it's a convenience store, and we address the kind of security they have, or it's an entire apartment complex, and we'll go and somewhat demand that the ownership meet with us and address the security problems at their apartment complex. So we started in April of 2018. The idea was to do it for 2 full years. And so that passed in April 2020, right during COVID. So we extended it for another 6 months until November 2021. 2020 at least. Our biggest accomplishments, the way we judge ourselves is really the crime. Is violent crime down or up compared to where it was at the same time over the same period the year before? And so that first year, we saw a pretty dramatic decrease in violent crime. So that was very positive. We didn't see nearly that big of a decrease the second year. We had more struggles the second year for a variety of things. And then this last year or last 6 months, we've seen another decrease. So we're back in the right direction, decreasing in violent crime. So that's good. So that's how we judge ourselves on a day-to-day basis by data. But we also look for specific things that we've tried to accomplish. So for example, there was a convenience store that was just out of control. There was shootings on a nightly basis, robberies. Normal people did not feel comfortable going there. We thought we needed to do something about changing that convenience store. So we met with the ownership of the property. We put as much pressure as we could on them to make changes, and ultimately they decided to demolish that convenience store and remove it. And since then, there's been almost no crime at that spot. We've tried to replicate that in other areas. For example, in the 5 Points area, we've done a similar thing. We took a square block that had constant violent crimes across the street from the junior high, and we decided to make it look different and feel different. So we partnered with a group called Better Block, and we worked with them to basically change the entire way it looks and feels. So now it's become a community square. And since then, since we did that, which was almost about a year ago, there's been zero violent crime on that spot. So those kinds of things work. So we had just as many arrests during COVID that we had before it. In fact, I think our violent crime charges and arrests are up 8% during COVID. So that hasn't slowed down at all. Those police officers, they just figure out ways to get their job done. We're not in court as much, but from the police officer's perspective, it feels like it's been almost no different. You know, those police officers, from my perspective, have been heroes because they didn't take a day off. They didn't stay home. They were still out there dealing with individuals on a regular daily basis. I mean, putting their hands on people when they needed to, arresting people when they needed to. They didn't back down at all. It's been hard on them, I think. A lot of them have tested positive for COVID and had to go out or been exposed to it, or they have to worry about it in every single interaction. The project is continuing for at least another 2 months into November 2020. My sense is, and I just can't guarantee it because I'm not in charge, that it will be extended. As everyone knows, there's been a lot of leadership changes. We're going to have a new police chief in Dallas. With any national election for a president, and a DOJ administration could change. In the meantime, we're going to continue on. We're continuing to focus on what we're doing, continuing to focus on the areas that seem to be popping up. They change every month, and so we're really focused on that. Today, the entire team's out trying to arrest the murder suspect. So the work doesn't stop, and the effort doesn't slow down at all. We'll keep going until we're told we can't keep going.